James Gunn's Superman is flying home on 4K Blu-ray. I got it a few days early, so I figured I'd review it. Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. I'm Cory, and this is my review of the 4K Blu-ray of James Gunn's Superman. This is not a review of the film. Did that a few months ago. Go ahead and check it out on the channel page. You can find it down there. This is going to be just a review of the disc quality. Before we get started, go ahead and Lex Luthor and 1A that subscribe and like button. Love the support there. So I don't usually talk about packaging much, but this one has a pretty cool lenticular on the slipcover. As you can see, depending on how you look at it, you either see Clark Kent or Superman on the front. Kind of suspect that two completely different people who have never been seen in the same room before are sharing the cover of this packaging, but I digress. When you take the slipcover off, you get a much more boring case, and then if you pop it open, you get a digital code and the 4K disc. No 1080p Blu-ray in this one, so if you are one of those folks that likes the combo packs, this is not going to be the one for you. Tech spec wise, this is a Dolby Vision HDR grade. It also has a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. It has a 1.90 aspect ratio, which is the same as it had in its theatrical presentation as it was shot for IMAX. So if you're watching on a TV or on a 16:9 screen, there will be very thin black bars on the top and bottom of the screen. It was shot on the Red Cinema Raptor camera, which is either going to be a 6.5K or an 8K source. It was finished at a native 4K digital intermediate, which is fantastic, and it is on a 100 gigabyte 4K disc. Unlike some other studios out there, cough, cough, Disney, cough, cough, that use 66 gigabyte discs, Warner Brothers is usually pretty good, and they give us the 100 gig discs out the gate. So video-wise, I will say this one is very true to the source. The look of this film is something that has been discussed quite a bit online. Movies good, internet bad. But to completely objectively look at it just from watching the film, it's very bright, very colorful transfer, and I think that the disc, being the source file, is the best way to watch it, to experience the color grading the way that it was intended to be seen. The HDR is also a topic of controversy here. There's some folks saying that it's not bright enough, there's not enough nits, blah, 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 blah. I watch in a light-controlled room. If you're curious about the equipment that I use, it will be in the description down below. But again, light-controlled room through a video processor. I had absolutely no problem with the image. I've seen the movie 4 times now in 4 different formats, including this one. And I think this was probably my favorite way of seeing it, was at home, in my theater on the disc. There is also a light layer of film grain. It's an emulation. It's not real film grain because it's shot digitally, but it is not going to have that spit polished digital look that some movies have presented in the last couple of years. Moving on to audio, this Dolby Atmos mix was nice and loud. Not quite Dune Part 1, Part 2, Top Gun Maverick, or Furiosa levels, but still very, very nice. I had it at my normal listening level, and I didn't have to make any adjustments. Sometimes, for example, Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts had a great soundtrack, but I did have to raise the volume by about 6 dB to get it where I wanted it. With this, I had it right at my normal listening levels, and it was nice and aggressive. Bass hit pretty hard when it needed to. The kaiju attack, the buildings falling down in the third act of the film. When they're in the river in Lex's Pocket universe, bass was shaking the walls in the room, which I really can't ask for much more there. The one thing I would have asked for a little bit extra would have been the Atmos usage. There seemed to be a little bit of a lack of discrete Atmos effects. So not so much like a Blade Runner 2049, where you can clearly tell there are things happening on a level above where we're sitting, or like in A Quiet Place, when the aliens are walking above the folks that are hiding in the basement. It really feels like you're in there with them. This felt more like the type of Atmos soundtrack where there are a lot of musical cues that happen in the height speakers, and it kind of gives you that sound bubble, which is still great, still enjoyable, but I would have liked to have had a little bit more, especially with all the flying and the way things zip around the screen and everything. Maybe just a little bit more on the Atmos would have been nice. But other than that, sounded great. Really no complaints with it. Again, probably my favorite way that I've heard this movie, just because when you're in a home theater, everything is tailored to where your seats are. They don't have to make up for an auditorium that sits 250 people. But and then as far as extras, there are 90 minutes worth of extras. There's some stuff about Lex Luthor. There's some stuff about crypto. And there's an hour-long documentary about the making of the film. So some discs, as of late, have been a little bit light on the special features. This has a solid hour and a half, which is pretty cool. So all in all, I'm very happy with this release. You know, hopefully this is just the start of a very long, bright future for this DC universe. And I would definitely recommend buying the Blu-ray if you are a fan of the film. So that's going to wrap it up for this review. Would love to hear from you in the comments below. Are you excited to watch this at home? Have you gotten the chance to already? Drop us that comment and we will respond to everyone that comes through. Please like the video if you liked it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That puts our videos in front of more people. And then be on the lookout next week. We are reviewing the finale of Alien Earth. And then on Thursday of next week, we're going to review One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. So be on the lookout for all of those things and so much more. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.